It's good times. It's good times. Hello, everyone. We are live. Chris Roberts gets the first word. Congratulations, Chris. We're very happy to see that you managed to get the first word. Okay, one second. I'm just fiddling with a few more little things here. Trying to get the... There we go. Okay, excellent. So yeah, this, if I turn my video on, this is what you guys see.
Oh,
So
I see.
it's all backwards and all over the place. So I'll just kill my video and onward we go. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to join us for our little AMA celebration we've got going on tonight. Here we have Eric Schiermeyer, CEO of Gala Games, Michael McCarthy, studio director, and Craig Russo of Polyient. And it's when most importantly we have all of you here, which is the awesome thing. So can everyone hear audio? Everything sounding good there on the AMA side? We're
You know what their first
broadcasting.
question is going to be, right, Jason?
Yes. I am recording. In fact, I am, and you cannot make fun of me for not pushing the button here, just to prove
Is
it
that what
to
happened
all of
last
you.
time?
It's what happened the first time. We had this amazing AMA, and the entire time I was sitting there, like, we were talking. It was great, so much amazing content, and then at the end of it, I'm like, oops. So here we are. We are recording, and in the end, we were able to post it because one of the people had recorded it for us, which was amazing. But it is, anytime you record a stream, it's always kind of got that like sort of crappy you recorded a stream quality to it, and so we fixed that. So anyway, tonight we are here to talk a little bit about the upcoming auction of Polyient Vaults in the game of Mirandus and exactly what those mean. Now, you guys have all been fantastic about submitting really interesting questions to us. I did not have time to make up nice little question cards like I did last time, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the question that you guys asked, and I'm going to tag the person who wrote it in the Discord if possible, if they're a Discord person. And if you guys are not members of our Discord, if you happen to be watching us on Theta, you can join our Discord by going to galagames.chat. And we have an AMA channel in there. So join in, and we'll get right into it. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say before we begin?
I think we should just jump right in. I think the only thing that I would say and talk about, which is shaping up as kind of a wonderful element in this simulated world of Mirandus, is that the Citadel of the Sun and Polyient really is starting to shape up as the financial center of the world of Mirandus. And I think it's going to be very interesting and awesome if the world of Mirandus, each citadel and king has a unique perspective on what that particular citadel or their part of the world might mean or be. It really gives you a meaningful, cool reason to explore and to travel to different cities, because it might feel different. It might be something you can only do there. I don't know. So I really love that concept, guys. And so, to me, I think that the Citadel for Polyient is going to be the financial center of the universe of Mirandus. And I think that's going to be very cool and feel different than visiting other places. So I think you guys will think that's fun too.
I think so, definitely. I'd also like to, before we begin, I'm going to start posting these questions in here. I want to give a little bit of a shout out to Crypto Euclid, who's somebody I've known for a few years now. About 2.5 years ago, I bought the first NFP from him as a non-fungible potato, and he posted something on on Twitter asking for somebody to send him $30 in Bitcoin for a potato. And so I sent him $30 in Bitcoin, and the potato was delivered to a homeless shelter as the first non-fungible potato transaction.
Hey.
So welcome aboard, Crypto Euclid. Very happy to see you and your wonderful wife here with us. Okay, so I've got about 10 questions that I curated out of the almost, I think, 60 questions that you guys sent in. So I'm going to just start with one of the random ones. Let's see. We'll start with something that kind of gives a little bit of the shape of things. And that is this. And this is a question from CryptoDude. And it is, what's so special about the partnership? What do both companies get out of it?
Well, I can lead off there. I like to give kind of a fresh perspective on really the blockchain gaming space and its potential. And with Polyient, what we really aim to do is to build out this unified financial layer that enables traditional crypto users and blockchain gamers a way to interact with in-game economies in a far more efficient way. And to date, a lot of the issues with blockchain gaming and crypto adjacent gaming has been that it's been very siloed. Despite our vision of really this kind of like Ready Player One type of metaverse, the ability to achieve those goals have been self-limiting based solely on the fact that the market has been very immature. And at Polyient, what we aim to do, in addition to direct purchases within metaverses like the one we did with Gala Games not too long ago, we really aim to build out these liquidity on ramps and off ramps between our established ecosystem that includes a lot of decentralized finance protocols with the games that we support. And I think from our perspective, working with the team, with the quality of Gala Games, I think there's a lot of unique things that we are able to achieve via this vaulting system that we are building out within the game that is going to push forward our perception of what decentralized gaming, what blockchain gaming really means. And I think I've been in the space for a very long time, and it's not something that's easily achievable, and it requires really a dedicated focus and a quality of team, cross-play like the one that Polyient and Gala Games is establishing. And from our perspective, and why we're so bullish on the Gala Games and Mirandus metaverse is that I think a lot of the pain points that blockchain gaming has faced to date are going to be solved via this collaboration. And our hope is that it serves as a prime example of what can truly be done with blockchain gaming and the NFT asset class. And again, we couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, I entirely agree with that. I think one of the things that is best about this partnership between the two of us is that we don't handle that financial layer. That's not a thing that we do. We make video games. You guys do handle that, and I think that that's what makes this a natural partnership, because you can provide services to users that users want, while allowing us to focus on the things that players also want, which is amazing games, which is the main focus for us.
Plus, what it does is it really opens up the frontier of what we can do inside of a video game. I think that for many years, many years, people have thought of video games as purely this almost passive experience. And what I think is so exciting about what we're planning with Polyient is that I don't know how many times any of you out there have played video games and you ended up like Diablo 2 or even Diablo 3. You just have a ton of stuff in your inventory. You have chests full of gear that you have memories around, or you think you might one day need, or whatever. But now, what happens if you could rent that out? I mean, that's just a paradigm shift that's never really even been thought of before, I don't think. So, there's just, what's so cool about what we're doing is that these ideas are unfolding in real time. It's not like we had a grand plan and that's what we were gonna do this all along. It's just as we explore deeper into the blockchain gaming space, we're beginning to realize more and more the really unique and exciting opportunities that are there. And so that's what I think is so exciting.
I think for me, it's really important for me from a game design perspective and experience perspective that there's a fictional wrapper, that there is a place in the game that makes sense, an intuitive place that you would go to visit. And the idea of vaults in the game, is very intuitive. You might have more gear than you can carry. You might not have, a grand home because you've purchased a deed or a building. You might need overflow. You might want a place to put all that stuff. A vault is an obvious place to put that. And then we just kind of don't stop there. This is the platform by which you guys have a voice. There might be something you want to do that is, related to the financial world of Mirandus. And where would you go to do that? And so I really, for me, what I love is I love the blockchain expertise that Polyient is bringing. And I love that we have a wonderful centralized fictional structure for all of these things to be added in that the community really loves and wants.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think one of the cool things about this is it's not our stuff. We've said this all along, but when you go and you acquire some legendary armor, and let's say it's beyond your character's level to actually equip, well, now there's going to be really interesting things you can do with that.
I was just going to say, this leads into another question. Will players be able to put NFTs as collateral in vaults? This is from Ink Knight. Now, before this question gets answered, I do want to say, and this is very important to remember, that all of this is still something that we are moving forward and is in progress. So this is not like a written in stone, it will work exactly this way sort of thing. So everything that we say here is subject to change as, technical requirements and regulatory requirements and things like that, make themselves known. So just putting that out there. But with that in mind, that's a question that Ink Knight had that I thought was a pretty good one.
And Ink Knight, are you online? I'm watching the Discord channel. Are you there? I'm not sure if he's there or not. I'd love a little more color on that. Like what
if anyone
what would
has
you
any
want
color,
what would you want collateral against in the world? Oh, there you are, brother.
He is. Awesome.
Yeah, what would you want collateral against in the world, This is, to me, guys, this is the meat of it all. It's these discussions, these brainstorms, like,
I mean, it seems like DeFi MMORPG.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? I'm gonna put up my deed as collateral so that I can borrow somebody's legendary armor and sword to go venture into a dungeon, and then I'm saying I'm going to give you 10% of whatever I find in that dungeon. That's how I read that.
So if there was a special sword for a quest and you used other NFTs to borrow it for the quest.
So literally exactly that.
That's exactly. I mean, is there a possibility that you could have something powerful in the game stored in a vault and rent it to other players? I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is fascinating. That is a cool opportunity. And the vault is an obvious place for that to go.
I think from a smart contract perspective, I think we're hyper-focused on bringing additional utility to, in-game items, right? And I think things like hero items, things that have, perhaps you won it in an auction or you won it in you put sweat equity into the game and you got it out from something that other people couldn't get done, because you know the game, right? I think that's in lies kind of the secret ingredient that DeFi brings into this open world, where the effort you put in will have output in a number of different ways, whether it's on the in-game gameplay perspective or in this financial layer that you can then tap into a much larger ecosystem of users that are always looking for that pay-to-play type of experience, right? That's the whole fundamental of underpinning of a lot of the gaming market right now. And so I think this concept around play to earn and what Mirandus will enable is going to create that marketplace type functionality that whether it's lending or direct trading, things like that, the opportunities are endless. And I think in a gamified world like this, I think there's a lot of experimentation that can be done that leverages some of these fundamental smart contracts that Polyient Games has been building and it's looking to integrate at some of these on-chain components.
And look, it's a huge opportunity. I mean, I think that it's hard for people to really grasp how enormous this industry actually is. But just one metric that's relevant here is that last year alone, there was a $50 billion a year market for secondary items, for items sold on the secondary market.
It's insane. That's
the free-to-play gaming market is expected to be $120 billion this year in 2021. So, I mean, look, barring any kind of regulatory issue that we might run into here, I think that what was really happening here is that for the first time ever, and this is a true statement, I think, players will get to participate in the actual economy of this massive industry on their own terms, without it being mediated by a third party, without it being mediated by Apple or Google or the game development company. This will be a smart contract that's decentralized that we can't do anything about. It's up to the players.
Yeah, that's I agree with that very, very, very much. Okay, so let's see. Here's kind of a fun question. This is from Tralfy. He always has fun questions. And obviously this would need to be gamified in a little bit of a different sense. But will there be ATM machines? What do you think, Michael? He wants a 5x5. And I know that in internal discussions you've mentioned that you didn't want to go that small for these sorts of things. And so
would you put like a gnome in there or something?
A gnome, nice.
Or like a fairy.
There. You guys will notice in some of the buildings that we roll out, there are some that just don't have tent size offerings. We really view. I feel like these Polyient Vaults are kind of a big deal. They're kind of special. There might be guards. There might be. My brain keeps going to when Harry Potter first visits his vault. Remember that? And he travels deep into the catacombs, and there's that special thing under an amazing lock and key. There's some things that are just big. They're special, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around what a small tent structure might look like for a building that might need to hold incredibly valuable things for a grand number of players. So, will there be a Polyient Vault that is tent sized? I'm not sure. I think it's more of a bigger gray stoned institutional important thing than maybe a tent could ever provide. When you're asking about ATM machines, and Tralfy, are you in line? When you're asking about ATM machines, is there a tie to currency that you're thinking of? A way to, put currency somewhere and withdraw it so that, maybe it wouldn't be a place for you to store things that you may not be able to carry and be able to withdraw them at any time at smaller locations. Tralfy, if you're online, is that kind of what you were thinking?
Oh, Tralfy is typing. Easy way to get.
Yeah, so just like a Western Union for something you might have in your vault. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Like an easy way to have something wired or transferred to a location?
I think that if you were to gamify that, it's like a money lender's table sort of thing, with very small quantities, not, I mean, just throwing it out there. But I think that's kind of the direction he's
we
going.
Definitely, I definitely think that the vaults are going to be special in that I think visiting any vault needs to potentially give you access to retrieving something from another vault. Otherwise, you would be so incredibly tied to one particular place, and so I think there needs to be some way for you to teleport items between locations. We'd have to think about that. There's something very physical about the reality, that we're presenting in Mirandus that I like a lot. And the more that physical reality is breathed into the game, I think the better off we'll be. But if you have something in one vault, could you just magically transfer it to another? And I think we might need that functionality. There might be a cost associated with that, to have the mages at the vault teleport something from one vault to another for you, but I think we might need that functionality.
I have sorry.
On the subject quickly on the the ATM aspect, like the idea of being able to tap into, whether it's your own wallet or liquidity from a larger pool. I think that's from Polyent's perspective, one of the things that we also really want to help facilitate is the liquidity of the on-ramps and off-ramps into the game economy. And, part of our goal with the Polyient DEX is to build this one-stop shop for liquidity as it relates to, our goal long-term is all major games that adopt, blockchain in some degree. But get the Gala pair right now is, I think, the most liquid and something that, both from Polyient, the company perspective, as well as the incentive structures that we are designing alongside Gala Games for things like liquidity and liquidity farming and things like that, that's going to help facilitate, a lot more possibilities as it relates to, having access to Gala inside of the game. And I think when we're thinking about things like lending and ATM and some of these more abstract financial concepts, I think first and foremost you need to have sources of liquidity and access that isn't necessarily coming from a centralized party, and that's what's going to facilitate a long-term decentralized ecosystem driven by a decentralized economy. Is a lot of players pooling a lot of tokens for a reason, and I think again, it's nothing set in stone with a lot of this, but the groundwork is being laid for that flexibility as we explore the in-ramps and off-ramps into the game layer.
I have a very important question really quick from Zero. Michael, he wants to know if you will forgive him and absolve him of his sins. I just saw that in passing. I just want to make sure that we cover
Wait,
that.
where? What?
It was up here a little bit. Yeah,
he thinks
talking
you're
about
Jesus.
Craig, the guy in the stream above Jesus. Forgive me my sins. So if you could just maybe do a little hand wave or something, I think it would probably be very appreciated.
I think one of the things, one of the things that I love the idea of, guys. I'll tell you something. Here's something that I'm very inspired by. We've brought up kind of other examples. Are there any anime nerds out there tonight? Has anyone seen Sword Art Online?
It's just mentioned.
Was it mentioned? I just love it. I love Sword Art Online. I think that's super awesome. I think there's an element in there that is very important. Yeah, Blockomoko's seen it, and Eric and Jason, if you haven't watched that series, it's absolutely fantastic. It's really cool.
I haven't.
It's a good one.
I haven't.
It is really cool.
I need to. Okay, so let's see here. Some of these questions we've already answered. Let me just go through this here. That's sort of the same question. That's sort of something that we just answered.
We should talk a little bit about the the vaults. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
We should maybe talk a little bit about how we're going to sell the first vaults and talk a little about why you want one.
Yes, yes. So for starters, these are 20 by 40 buildings. They're massive in the world of Mirandus, and so this is something that I think that you're definitely going to want. This is the central location where everyone will want to come to store their stuff and access this layer. Go ahead. You have something more you would like to say on that, McCarthy?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to create a physical reality. And one of the physical realities is you only have so much space. Where do you put an amazing amount of extra stuff that you are acquiring in the world? And we also talked about the possibility of transferring things between vaults. That might be an exclusive realm of the vault themselves to be able to, to use their magic. Or I like the idea of a massive hawk that's like a carrier pigeon that could bring stuff to different locations. But you are going to run out of space, especially if you're a guild and you're really, trying to store up an amazing amount of stuff. This is where it will go. If you have a deed or a building, you will have storage as well. If you have a large deed, you might not need to store anything in a bank. You'll have such a large home. But I think banks will, for the regular player and even for big guilds, be the central place that you need to go to store a lot of valuable things that is completely protected and safe. And then, talking with Polyient and Craig and, what are the possibilities there that exist even beyond storing a ton of extra stuff in the game that could be transferable between cities in the world. It's just endless. And we're really...
Michael, I kind of think of vaults as almost like going to Uniswap and adding liquidity to a pair.
Mm-hmm.
So I can stick my gear in my house or in some other, or just in my inventory, but maybe I intentionally want to put some really valuable stuff in somebody's bank, particularly somebody who's got a bank. I'm not a vault, not bank. Sorry, scratch that. We're not doing banks. Vaults in like a citadel, because I know it's highly trafficked and maybe I'm going to get a lot of people coming and wanting to use my gear, and I might earn some in-game currency.
Yeah.
Expanding upon that as well, I think, a lot of the stuff that we're doing and thinking about for the integration from the Vault perspective, is a carryover of some of the core Vault systems that we're designing at Polyient, in our internal to our ecosystem. And so kind of fundamental to everything that we've done is we want NFTs to be treated as, these collectible items, these assets, these alternatives to utility tokens that have tangible properties. And one side of that tangible property is the idea of things like yield and assigning percentages to rarity that have feed out into rewards as it relates to tokens, other NFTs, things like that. And so I think the opportunity here for people that have vaults is, we really want to apply some of these concepts to the Mirandus world as it relates to like how many NFTs do you have in your vault? Like what kind do you have? How many players are relying upon your location, your central vault entity within the world? And so I think that's where a lot of the cool flexibility really emerges from a smart contract level, where if you have a collection of NFTs within a single vault contract that's tied to this NFT that you can purchase in the coming week here, that's from just like a financial interoperable layer within a game economy. This is going to be a first of a kind, and I think it again is an extension of the innovations that we've been working on for a greater part of the year now, and this is only going to ramp up as we have the flexibility from the in-app perspective that only Gala can deliver. So I think that's where it makes us very excited about applying these concepts that we've built to be ubiquitous across the NFT asset class, but focusing it up on this world that really creates an open economy and an open world that unlike any other.
It's also kind of a in a simplistic way, guys. If you own a deed, you have all of these plots that people can place their buildings on, and they pay you to host their building there. A vault is essentially the same kind of thing. If you have one of these Majestics, you might have X number of vaults. It is not free for players to come in there and just host their stuff there. If you so choose, they might need to be renting that vault location from you. So having a vault is an incredibly powerful thing in the world of Mirandus for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and this is every time we have a discussion about game design, and this is true for Townstar, this is true for Mirandus, this is true for everything that I've seen you work on, Michael, is this concept of a simulation. Sorry, I'm just seeing myself being posted in Discord there. Did you guys notice I'm wearing a blue shirt tonight, not a gray shirt? Okay, I feel like I should get a little bit of credit. Anyway, this concept of a simulation.
Discord's sassy tonight, guys.
Seriously, right? Is this this concept of everything being a simulation? Where does this fit in the real world? If you were to go back to, say, the year 1300, 12 or 1300 in Europe somewhere, add in a splash of a fantasy world and slightly idealize things, less plague probably, things like that. What would this world look like? You would still have cities like Florence with the Medicis. You would still have all of these fascinating things spreading out, different centers of industry and different centers of commerce. And I think that that's one of the things that we want to bring to Mirandus. And I think that the Polyient Vaults fit very nicely into this. And, when you look at what other citadels can become, you are limited only by imagination and history. And, I think that when you bring everyone together, and that includes all of you guys in the community, we have plenty of access to both, and we can do some really amazing stuff. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and... Do you want to answer a couple... we have a couple random questions that aren't specifically Vault related, but I think are pretty solid questions that might...
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the list here. I want to make sure we've got some of the good...
Sure. You've got the master list.
Like Jimmy211. I feel like we answered your question, my man. If you deposit item golds in one vault, can they be withdrawn in another? I think we need that.
Can we definitively...
Mobile banking solutions seems to be...
Chris.
Yeah. Have to think about that, Chris. I think there should... Again, I could see a massive hawk carrier pigeon style thing, or the possibility of elder players being able to transport something directly into a vault. But I wouldn't expect a new player to be able to magically send something to a vault. We want to try to keep the physical reality of the game. So that's something to consider.
Can I take a question here?
I actually like the idea that the bank itself might have X number of orbs that they could craft that they could rent to players, and if you have that orb, you would be able to access that vault. And the larger the vault, the more powerful and the more possible they could have those kind of orbs to,
like a DeFi
to give to their players. Be very cool. There's some opportunities there.
So I have I need to jump in and answer one of these questions here from Aston Martin. Talk about the sale process for the vaults. So basically, the way that this is going to happen is tomorrow there will be an auction that goes live on Polyent's website and also on OpenSea. And we'll be posting an article here after this that will basically link over to that. And you guys will then be able to go check it out and go bid on it. and that's how these are going to be sold. And so the first initial 5 are going to be sold via auction over the next several weeks. We said that we were going to be releasing 10, and we will still be doing that, but we were all approached, in fact, both Polyient and Gala were approached separately about the concept of reserving a portion of these vaults for the possibility to be managed by a DAO. There was a group of users that wanted to set up a DAO to potentially manage a vault. And so these are 5 of these are being held to be, future determined what is going to happen with them based on potentially having DAO management integrated into part of it. But so 5 of them are going to be going over the next couple weeks on OpenSea and on Polyent's website. And yes, Crypto Euclid, definitely. Oh, thank you, Eric.
Yeah, and I think going off of the DAO stuff, it's something that I've been very interested in, and it was great to see how active the Gala community has been in that regard.
Incredible. That was absolutely incredible to see people just come out of the woodwork and we want to do this. Help us find a way to make it possible.
I think it's about creating the infrastructure that enables decentralized interactions, right? That keeps this world alive, for the long term. So the more and more user-driven innovations, like a DAO-owned vault that ffeeds into a governance system and governance token, whatever they decide to do, that's the type of stuff that I think, we were thinking about shots on goal for bringing in the DeFi community into gaming. Those are the types of innovations that are going to catch people's eyes.
I think for people that are online that aren't familiar with it, I think at a basic level, we're trying to, some of these items are very big, very powerful in the game. How can we make it that several people can come together and be kind of an organization that is running and managing these things? Some sort of voting mechanism built in, but you can kind of pool your money together as friends and get something truly big and fantastic and major, where you would locate it, what the rules might be for that, if you want to move it somewhere else, any decision being made within that particular, deed or building or structure could be, something you and your friends have to vote upon.
I think it speaks a lot to the Mirandus ethos too, where I think a lot of things in the NFT space and initially in blockchain gaming, it's for whales, right? I think being able to access the cool stuff, you have to have the most money, and I think that plays across most of the crypto and generally in the economic world. But and I think that's what this enables is smaller players able to come together for a singular purpose and to gain exposure and access to NFTs and in-game experiences that otherwise, would not be available. And so I think that's where the true innovation excitement lies is what that can lead to. And I think that's why these 5 are being set aside so that it gives the community time to organize and decide for themselves, how do they want to tackle it, and any way in which we can help support that type of innovation. Either from Polyient, for the financial layer side, or from the in-game experience. I think that's why we really want to explore it.
And I'll just add that as far as a DAO is concerned, or any kind of pooling of resources, we Gala Games won't be handling that ourselves. So we're not going to be facilitating any kind of pooling of assets or to purchase something. That's really up to the players to handle themselves. And our view on it is that it's really their choice. It's their item. They can do whatever they want with it. We're just not going to be touching any kind of sticky regulatory issues like that.
Agreed.
It has to be decentralized. Has to be something that we don't manage, guys, and that's in your hands.
Yeah, but we're willing to work with you to make that something that you could potentially do. But it's on you guys to set it up and manage it however you guys want to.
So I think one of the questions was, would the voting have to be on chain and stuff? I would say probably yes.
That's
and I think it speaks to these NFTs and this world existing in kind of the same universe as a lot of the DeFi protocols, right? These groups aren't driving, the innovations that all occur within, the Yearn ecosystem or some of these adjacent exciting DeFi protocols. It's users like yourselves that are able to come together and build out unique experiences that then start to, bifurcate and create this web of excitement and innovation that, it hasn't been done at the gaming level yet. And I think this is an opportunity for the community to really grab the bull by the horns and pioneer blockchain gaming level community-driven innovation on top of the base layer innovations that both Gala and Polyient are bringing forward. But again, in a very decentralized manner that had never been done before.
Yeah, I think that, again, dragging it back to the simulation a little bit, I think that the concept of a DAO is a simulation of Amsterdam circa 1512. And I think that's, again, we can take interesting lessons from history, and see is that how that can be applied by players to the world that they want to build.
Groove is asking a question, and yeah, Benefactor's right. Like it has to be that there is a framework established, but you guys would need to own and control that. What we can see from a game standpoint, guys, is we can see the chain and we can see who owns what, and we can see, we can view things on the chain, and make, and have the game reflect what you guys are doing. But we're not going to control or own how that works behind the scenes. That needs to be something that you guys own.
Yeah.
And I'll add to that. I think a lot of the innovations that are occurring on like the Aragon or the snapshot platforms, there's a lot of third-party platforms that are facilitating these types of on-chain interactions these days, where maybe 2-3 years ago that had been a lot more difficult. And so, take an example like Sushi Swap and some of these DeFi protocols. This is massive capital that's being managed by these DAO multi-sig type systems. And so there is precedent here in the DeFi world that you can navigate and figure this out. But again, the output has to be, as simplified as possible. That doesn't intertwine either Polyient or Gala into the actual governance or making any of these decisions, because again, that just sets us up for more risk than makes sense. But again, this whole system is designed for individual users, driving the innovation at various levels that they can, and any ways that we can help feed the output of that into the system, we're all for it.
Would you like to take a couple sort of design-related questions, McCarthy? I think
sure.
that are relevant. So we've got a few people that are asking about when they might see what the Citadel of the Sun might potentially look like in the game. And I realize that's a massive, massive question, but I wondered if you could shed a little bit of light on that process and what goes into creating a Citadel for other people who may be listening, so that they understand what, if they were to, decide that they wanted to go with the Citadel, what that process might look like.
Yeah, the world needs to have stampable, editable terrain, such that you guys, when you own deeds, you choose a location, and as long as certain parameters are met, it is considered a space that is editable. You can stamp your place down and claim that place in the world. I think Citadels will be so large that they will probably get to point on the world map of the world and say, this is where it will go, and we will have to custom edit the terrain to match. So owning a Citadel is going to mean having a gander at the world of Mirandus and kind of pointing and saying, I think this is the spot that we should be. And then we would likely custom edit that terrain to suit.
Yeah, so it'll be a lot more of a manual art process than a, mechanical process. And I think that if you were to look at where cities were placed and where fortresses were placed, which is what a citadel is, throughout history, you will see that follows along with the concept of the simulation. You have to build your cities and your fortresses for the terrain. You can't just plop them down anywhere.
And there'll be coordination between kings, I suspect, too. It'll be interesting to see how close they want to be to each other, how far they want to be from each other. There's been some fascinating discussions, guys, behind the scenes that I can't wait to talk to you about. Pretty exciting stuff.
Just a quick comment asking a question that Crypto Euclid's asking here. So basically the way that the deeds and the shops work, and the Citadel is kind of a mega deed. Basically what you have is you have a deed that can be stamped down in the world. This deed has a variety of smaller plots inside it that can be assigned to shops. And how those are assigned is up to the deed owner. They can rent them, they can work out some other, whatever they want to do. They can just give permission to their friends if they feel like it. And he specifically is asking about a tavern, which is one of my favorite buildings. I'm really, really looking forward to a tavern.
That's going to be cool.
It's going to be really, really cool. And basically...
Yes, Tralfie, yes.
Edited in real life. Yes, there you go. Brilliant. So that's the way that a tavern works, is it goes into a spot inside the deed. And each of there's actually, I'll put a link here for you that will show you the different pieces. Sorry, again, way too many windows going on here. Oh shoot, I need to go over to Theta. I've been ignoring you guys, I'm so sorry.
Well, they should just come over to Discord then.
Yes, everyone, come over to Discord. galagames.chat. Please, please, please. DX Para wants to talk about smaller vaults.
Well, you know what? I like this one question I saw, though. What if Citadel owners wanted to attack each other?
Yeah.
I love that question.
Yeah. So one of the big stakes we need to put in the ground in the world of Mirandus is this a PvP world? Is it PvE? Is it here's what I specifically don't want, guys. And if there's anyone out there that played Ultima Online, this was a reality in Ultima Online. That was kind of a you can attack anyone at any given time world. And so what other people would do is they'd get high level and they would make themselves invisible and they would stand outside of towns, and when newbies walked out of the town, they would zap them with a lightning bolt and take all their stuff. That's not super fun for people playing the game. But as far as players attacking each other, I think that needs to be an option for them to engage in personally. I think we need areas and zones where that is fundamentally allowed and is opt-in. Between the kingdoms, I really like the idea that there's this higher layer kind of mechanism where they have agreed to be okay with each other. They have agreed to say we are partnering with, or there is a truce with another kingdom, and therefore things are cool between the two kingdoms. With the deeds, especially the larger deeds, you don't just get powers as the owner of that deed. You might get a few assignments and a court, if you will, and you can hand out buffs and powers to people that you so choose. The king, obviously, of a citadel has a very large court. So what I like the idea of is if you align with a certain kingdom and a kingdom just hates the other kingdom for one reason or another, that anyone who has aligned with that kingdom might be opting into a PvP experience if they were to ever run into someone from the other kingdom.
Michael, you and I talked about this. Was it last week? I know nothing is set in stone, so this is just my hope, right? But I sure do like the idea of um, having some agent provocateurs who happen to be leasing out a Lich King's crypt to another kingdom, and they just happen to plop it down right on the trade route between that manages this particular kingdom's trade, and now all of a sudden it's really difficult to get to that kingdom.
I mean, to riff on that, guys, like, the kingdoms seem cool with each other. They both said, "Oh yeah, we're cool with each other." How great of a game would it be if they were employing deep Cold War tactics to make their kingdom more special than somebody else's? Yeah, we're totally cool with each other, and yeah, there might be something that you are doing to actually encourage people coming to your land or area. I mean, even if you look at a town of the Archduke or a prince, you know, could you have a small army of Leroy Jenkins just trying to train people over to say, "Oh, it's so dangerous there"? That's very interesting. That's very interesting. I mean, if we do Mirandus the right way, you guys will be thinking of these strategies and putting them to good use. That would be the kind of thing that would make me shockingly happy as a developer, and
They
as
get
a
also
designer,
high
guys.
level mob trains too.
That's right. You know, I think that would be really fun. That's the kind of story and game that would be created by how you guys are poking the simulation and how you guys are messing with each other in a creative way that we wouldn't necessarily design or control. And that's the whole point of what it is we're doing and building. So if we ended up getting stories like that or seeing stuff like that, wouldn't that just be the coolest?
And just want to answer Bohaska's question here really quick. If you're wanting to kill someone and take all their NFTs, I am not the guy you want. There are other people that are even talking right now that you might want to look at. Um,
Uh, no, I mean, they're can you kill someone and take their NFT? I mean,
right.
like, I don't even know how we would do that. I
No,
mean,
no, we wouldn't
it's like
do that.
we can't affect something on chain
Or
that
we
you
could use
guys
Polyient to
own.
do that. You'd have like
Now,
a PvP
What
arena.
I think is interesting is, yeah, like, you guys could enter into a contract in an arena, 10v10. You guys agree on what the prize is, and
yes,
a smart contract automatically means that if certain conditions are met, you might receive the prize. That's cool.
yeah,
Um,
that'd be very cool. Just for clarification, that I'm not talking about people being able to take NFTs. It's just that I don't have all of the NFTs to take. Is where I was going with that.
oh, I mean, well, yeah, you cannot take an NFT from another player. Like, you cannot walk up and kill somebody and have them own something on chain and then it
Yeah,
magically is
no,
transferred to you. There
doesn't
would
work
have to
that
be
way.
a system or something we would put in place where people would opt into that, and it would be smart contract based. But I,
Let me ask the crypto dude's question here. What's the incentive for war between nations? And I think what I'm hearing from Michael on this one is we have no idea what the incentive is going to be, but there probably will be.
well,
It could be that one citadel wants more trade than the other.
what is a nation?
Yeah,
How do you define a nation? How do you define a war? We need you guys to define what that stuff is.
I mean,
You know,
if you look at for example, the
I
First World War, you have a
you
bunch
guys will
of
have. Let me say
go
this
for
really
it,
quick,
hit it,
Brink.
man.
You will have a concept of an alignment, a concept of a faction. You'll have these things that are kind of living with you as a character. You might be able to pledge your allegiance to something that will be really great for you and give you powers, but there might be someone who fundamentally hates that place, and you guys have agreed to be at war. And I think we'll definitely need that concept. I mean, I forget massive kingdom battles for a second. I like the idea that um, even two farming hamlets hate each other. It's like an old feud in the West, this family versus this one, and I
They
think you
stole
guys
my
need to
chickens.
be able to own that and control that and enter into agreements with each other that we just hate each other and that's just that. And the kingdom would allow you guys potentially to be PvP against each other, aligning with this faction. You know what that means. We would need to do something like that to empower you guys to have those kind of battles. But I love the idea that what was Romeo and Juliet, the two houses, you know, Hatfields and McCoys, Jimmy 211,
Yeah, there you
totally,
go.
yeah, in the West Virginia Hills or the Virginia Hills or whatever that was. Yes, we need to empower you guys to be able to do that stuff. But what I don't want is I don't want bullying, and I don't want some new player coming into the game like Mirandus is not a game where you come in and land gently and somebody gives you a big hug and says go kill that rat and I'll give you 1,000 gold. And we're not designing a system like that. We're starting with simulating a world. We're going to simulate a world, and what I don't want is I don't want people coming in trying to survive and experience this world and just being bullied by players. So I think player versus player combat needs to be kind of an opt-in situation.
Yeah.
I hope you guys agree with that.
Well, we'll see as this develops. I'd like to. Is there anything else that you guys would like to cover? I kind of want to start wrapping this up a little bit for tonight.
For the vault sale itself, I think
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we talked about it yet, but the cycle of the currencies which you can purchase.
Ah, yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
think Jason, you probably have that more readily available than I.
Sure. So basically, the first 5 initial vaults that are going to be going on sale on Polyent's site and on no robbing vaults trophy on Polyent's site and on OpenSea. They're basically going to go in this order. The first one is going to sell for Ethereum. The second vault, which will come a few days later after the first one, is going to sell for Gala. The third is going to sell for Ethereum. The fourth is going to sell for PGU. And the fifth is going to sell for Ethereum. Would you like to talk a little bit about PGU and the function of that, Craig?
Yeah, sure. So PGU really is kind of like the reward token within the Polygon Games ecosystem. So it's primarily emitted from PGFKs, which are our main membership and rewards NFT. So a lot of cool tokenomics that we're building out for the PGFK, and one of the main use cases is the emission of PGU, which gives users really that ability to choose what reward they want from the ecosystem, whether it's converting it into Gala on the Polyant Dex or saving it up and purchasing something like this vault deed, as an example. So PGU is the main base pair for the Gala trading on the Polyant Dex, and it's pretty liquid as is. Yeah, so it's definitely a major tie-in for our PGFK community, and something that we really hope to set a standard for as it relates to in-game currencies or in ecosystem currencies as a form of NFT redemption or payment in such a system.
Okay. That's fantastic. I just want to touch on. Oh, go ahead, Eric. You're going to say something?
Well, GX wants to know when we're going to sell the non-majestic tier vaults.
Would you like to speak to that? I have some thoughts if you would like, but I'll leave it up to you.
It's TBD, but
Yeah, it's definitely TBD.
Let's get the Majestics out there first, and then the other ones will come online. But we should be able to give you guys the numbers of what will be available eventually and the sizes of those that we could provide you.
we're
But
going to
how we're
make
rolling.
sure that sleep when we put them live too.
The what?
To make sure Putty is asleep before we put them live. I made a little graphic for him today of I used the Bayeux tapestry maker and made a little picture of him sitting on a throne with all of his horses. It was very cute. Um, what was that? Oh, Soundscape. Are we dropping dairy or butcher stuff tonight? No, due to the little hiccup with the Node authentication server, we're not putting out anything new this evening because we really I think that people should have an opportunity to get their nodes back online before we do that. So hopefully that will be coming soon. Okay.
I want to
Uh,
say I want to touch on what Amber 76 is
sure.
talking about a little bit too, guys. If that's okay, Eric, did you want to say something first?
No, well, eventually, before we end it, we should answer Evie's question. I think he's got a good one.
Hmm.
Oh, yes, that's 100% true, Evie. You know, there are very few spaces that are that grand. I mean, for you to visit the most powerful places and the most powerful, you know, shops and stores and vaults, they will need to be placed within an incredibly powerful deed.
Yeah, one
And
of the
we're not trying to make that up as much as, again, we're kind of simulating this world. Where would the finest of this building be found? And it is unlikely it would be, in a very small village. You would need to travel somewhere to a grand city to experience it. So we're
It's kind
trying
of
to
the
simulate
ultimate,
try to
right?
simulate that a little bit more. That's where the spirit of that is coming from.
I think also another thing that is worth mentioning here is that if you do find yourself in possession of one of these majestic buildings, probably the best way to get it placed in an optimum location is to be friends with a king. You know, if
Or a
you
large,
know,
or a large town.
yeah,
Um,
so this is your opportunity to bring other people into the ecosystem and bring them in so that you have an optimum place to uh, place your shops and things like that.
I think there's a really interesting bit of negotiation that can occur there too. I
Oh,
mean,
for
if I own
sure.
a deed, I mean, maybe I would be like, hey man, come place it here for free. I want to say that my town is hosting the finest of the largest buildings, the most powerful buildings. I could see that being, a possibility. But we'll let you guys sort that out, which I think is very cool. Um, you know, Amber, one of the things that Amber was touching on is this concept of, do I have to adventure um, in Mirandus? And the I really want to talk about that for a second, guys, because I don't want the world to be full of just adventurers. I think there's an opportunity for all sorts of different styles of people to come into the game and play. One of the things that is going to be incredibly important in the world of Mirandus is farming and is ranching. When you go, there's games where, you're a little low on hit points, so you hang out for 10 seconds and oh, there they are, they're all recovered now. Like, that's not really simulating a world. In Mirandus, you're going to want to eat. Like, food will help you heal, sleep will help you heal. If you've got the money and the power, you just might wrap up a potion and have something happen to you instantly. Or if you know a spell, you could maybe make something like that happen. But by and large, people in the world are going to want to eat, and ranching and farming is going to play an incredibly valuable role in the ecosystem of adventurers. Um, I think that's just really critical. I think that's really critical and really cool.
Zero just wants a sword.
Zero's gonna have
Just
that
give me a
sword.
sword. I'm just gonna get a
He's gonna
sword
have
and
that
I'm gonna go out into the forest and I'm gonna find myself some wolves. I'm gonna make a coat and
If you guys are not afraid when you walk into the forest, we have failed. We need to not know exactly what is out there at every turn. You should be, if there are heroes within the game who have seen unbelievable things, they need to be people who are heroes who have seen unbelievable things, who could guide you, through a dangerous forest. But we're not going to know where everything is at all points. This is not a game where we are going to tap on the world and say, this is where Large Ogre level 7 is, and when he dies, you're going to see him pop back up again. They're going to have goals in the world. They're going to like certain things and hate other things, and they are going to act based on those goals and those likes and dislikes.
We should probably cut it off before you start going too much into the next couple Mirandus Mondays, Michael. I don't want you to
don't
ruin.
Get me started.
I don't want you to ruin it. So, does anyone else have any closing words? Craig, Eric, Michael.
I'll just say this, just to remind everybody that we're really going to be exploring uncharted territory with these vaults, and we're taking a lot from what's going on in the DeFi space right now, and imagining what it would look like in a fantasy world. And I think that this is probably one of the buildings that I really want to own for myself personally. Though I think I'm probably not supposed to bid on the OpenSea auction, I'm sorely tempted to, because I really want one.
Yeah, I think this is the most, when we're looking at what blockchain can do to gaming and what some of the opportunities are in this space.
This is the heart of it.
These vaults are the biggest fictional wrapper and platform in the game to access what the blockchain can be in many ways. So this is where that stuff will happen. And what exactly are we going to have there? Well, you're obviously going to have storage and a few other things and powers of that kind, but where can this actually go in the future? And what will this mean? I think these are very broad platforms for what you guys might want to do in the world of Mirandus and what's possible in the space.
Yeah, you gotta do the coupon, because in OpenSea, the only way to do an auction is to have basically one of one. And with these, there's going to be 10 of them, so it won't actually work to do an auction on OpenSea. That's why we had to create the coupons. But you can trust us. You're gonna, if you own the coupon, you're gonna get it.
Awesome. Yeah, just in closing, I think from a vault perspective, it's, as I mentioned earlier in this chat, this is really a culmination of a lot of the lessons that Polyient has learned, in exploring some of these smart contract systems that really bring NFTs to the next level. And so this is actually the first iteration of a non-core, system that we're going to be bringing these types of ideas to. And I think, again, the opportunities that exist between us and Gala to merge the worlds of DeFi with gaming, are there's nothing like this right now that's happening. I can tell you that. I work all day, every day in this space, and that's why I'm so excited about this. And I think the opportunity for us to share this with you as the gamer or the NFT collector, I think that's really cool. So we're very excited from the Polyient side, and really looking forward to this first set of auctions and everything beyond.
Yeah, I am as well. So again, thank you guys so much for being here. Craig, Eric, Michael, for being here to talk to everybody. And thank all of you in the community for being here. We wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for you guys, and the amount of passion and support that you put into this is what keeps us going and keeps us excited. And we love you guys. You absolutely rock. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close it, and I'm going to keep the stream running for another 20 seconds. So we're all going to wave really awkwardly until the stream dies, and then I tell everyone they can stop waving or giving thumbs up. So 1, 2, 3, thumbs up, everyone.
20 second thumbs ups.
20 second thumbs up.
Right. Oh, okay.
I cycle to a wave and then go back to the thumbs up.
You can cycle, do a wave, go back to the thumbs up. There we go. We're good. Okay, rock on, people.